loose. White dive on him.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor. They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
All right. First the floor. Celtics late night. Jake Eisenberg joined by Dan Greenberg. This would be a brutal loss right now if it was not for the season that we are currently going through right now. And I experienced the exact same emotions as some of these other games. We got to that 14-2 start, and I'm like, hell yeah. Go Celtics. This is great. We're flying around. We're playing with the pace. And then the Jazz slowly come back. They go up 10 late in the fourth. And I'm like, I just kind of hope that the Jazz win now.
Would you say it's comparable? Well, if this was a normal season, would you say that how you would feel would be comparable to the Drew Holiday dribble the ball out versus Atlanta? Throw it away game from what was that, last year?
There was the Rockets, Amen Thompson, like buzzer beater on those two games were so close together. The Pelicans games. There should have been a third one if not for that CJ McCollum shot.
Oh, that's right. He missed the floater. Yeah. I looked this morning. I saw that they were 10.5-point favorites.
What was that?
I've seen the Celtics lose this game 10,000 times before when they get the double-digit home favored kiss of death. So it's just one of those. Like, I'm with you. It's like in the season that mattered, this would have me up until 3:30 in the morning. But now I can just sit back and laugh at just how embarrassing. Like, of course they lose on an offensive putback.
To Yusuf Nurkic. Of all people.
That's just been the story of every one of their losses. So why would this one be any different,
I know, and it feels like they've definitely gotten a little bit better with the defensive rebounding, but it was a problem tonight, and it literally was the play that lost you the game. And they were really not close to even getting the rebound.
No, it wasn't even for all the things that he does well, Keita is just such a poor late game solo big defensive rebounder. Yeah, we saw it against Jalen Duren in the Pistons in the fourth quarter of that game. You're really missing Tatum's 6'10" frame rebounding in those moments. You're just not equipped to handle those types of situations. And the problem is, you get into the fourth quarter of a close game, rebounding is the most important thing you can do, and they're just not built to do it, and it should surprise nobody.
No, they were 29th a couple of days ago. They're probably right back there, right about now. How many offensive rebounds did the Jazz have? 15 offensive rebounds tonight, and they didn't even have
only 13 second. Yeah, didn't have Walker Kessler. Only 13 second chance points, but obviously the two most important second chance points is what cost you the game. So it's like, you go down the list. In game one, it was, 18 offensive rebounds, 21 second chance points. Then the Knicks had 21 second chance points. Then the Pistons had 30 second chance points. Then you just lost the game tonight because of late game rebounding. It's like the thing that we knew was going to be what limits their ceiling and what puts them in this type of season was their front court. And you're seeing it, unfold and how they're losing these games.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that Joe Mazzulla knew this was going to be a problem. He tried with the preseason subbing guys every time there was an offensive rebound. He's and there's been moments and there's been a couple games where you can tell there's a true collective we're rebounding. It worked against the Cavs bats because the Cavs suck at offensive rebounding and rebounding in general. And I think in a season where you're just ebbing and flowing this season that's so long and you're playing 5 games in 7 nights. You get one more night off. You're playing another game. There's just this. It's not realistic to ask a team to have that level of the level of focus and intensity that will be required for this team to be like 21st in defensive rebounding as opposed to 28th or 29th is not something that you can ask of a group of people in an 82 game NBA season. Roster flaws are roster flaws, and there's only so much, point of emphasis you can kind of use as a coaching staff to fix something like that. This is going to pop up time and time again.
Okay, here's a prime example of what we're talking about. I just wanted to look it up while you were saying that. In just clutch time situations, right? So the Celtics have played 4 clutch time games. They're 1-3. In those games, they have a defensive rebounding percentage of 50%, which is the 3rd lowest in the entire NBA. Okay?
Think about that. They're giving up an offensive rebound on every.
That's in the last 5 minutes. It was 50%. If I go down to the last 2 minutes, same thing, 50%. 1 minute, 50. Okay, so it's pretty much the same. So yeah, so you're in the most important part of a game, right? And even if you're forcing misses, you only have a 50-50 shot of getting the rebound. Like, that is so bad. That's a number that should be 75% to 80%. Like, let me just look around. Let me show you. So some other teams, like the Pistons, are 90%. The Bulls, 80%. Warriors, 83%. Knicks, 75%. Bucks, 70%. Rockets, 68%. So it's like these teams that are good and winning in these situations rebound. You are literally among the worst. And that's just in this specific, that's not even the overall 28th ranking. That's just saying, okay, let's only look at these most important high leverage situations. And it's honestly as bad as, any team in the league.
Yeah. And when you don't have enough advantages in other spots, it's just not something you can survive consistently.
Right.
And
especially when you're not shooting, you're not getting stops. Like, I always felt that, as we went through this season and games that the Celtics shoot well, and not even well, just average, like they have ways to mask their rebounding issues, their defensive paint. I mean, I think the Jazz had like 55, 60 points in the paint, right? So their shot making is what neutralizes that. When you take away their shot making, all of those things get magnified, and your margin for error that was already slim to begin with is even smaller. And if you're not going to be able to get stops, like, you can't win. It doesn't even matter if you're playing the worst team in the NBA. You can't, like, those are still NBA players, and that's just not a formula that's conducive to winning.
There are just certain things that an NBA basketball team cannot be bad at and expect to win games consistently. And rebounding is really high on that list. 3-point shooting is really high on that list. And I will say this game in particular, so they shoot 11 for 51, which is, if the broadcast was telling the truth, the worst percentage they've ever shot shooting 50 or more threes. And part of it is they're not getting as good as shots. That's very clear that without Jason Tatum, they're just. But
yes and no. Like, I feel like we have to not use.
There's both.
Not use that as a crutch, right?
Because today was not like that. I thought, like,
Derek,
they missed Sam Hauser missed 10 threes that he can make. How many?
Jalen had a bunch of wide open ones.
0 for 9.
I'd say the ones that are struggling with that the most are guys like Pritchard, right? Because now his are a little bit further out. His are a little bit more contested. The D White stuff, he's just bricking open looks, swing. Like, it doesn't matter that he's not playing off Tatum in those moments. Like, you just have to you have to knock down your open shots, or at the very least, you can't miss every single one that you take, right?
Yeah,
like,
and so
that has to be the balance.
That's the other side of this game in particular. And maybe bigger picture, it's like they lost by 2 points in a game. They shot 20% from 3, and like they go up 14-2 because I thought that I love the way they came out. 14-2 run. They're playing with incredible pace. They're getting good looks. They're knocking down some shots.
The process was good.
The process was good. But then the threes, it was insane. It was insane how bad some of the shooting was, and with good shooters, guys that have been knocking, even Jalen, who's been on fire from 3-point line, could not get anything to go. At least Pritchard was 4 for 11 tonight, which is by far the best he's shot so far.
Right.
Derek
Like, do
is
I
definitely,
need
insane.
the Garza threes? Do I need the Tillman threes? Probably not, right? But that was at most what, 4 of the 51,
that's 3 of them,
right? Like
3 out of 50.
so.
I don't hate the Gaza
So
too. Like, he's got to take him.
I don't know, but in the flux of when they happened in the game, they came during long shooting droughts. Like those, I think you take when you're on a little bit of a run and you're trying to ride that momentum wave, not when you haven't scored in 3 minutes and now I'm digesting a Garza 3 from the top of the key. It's fine in the big scheme of things, but I'm just saying, like, the majority, and I would even say of their 51, 45, 46 of them will be deemed open or wide open, right?
Yeah.
So it's like at some point, the guys who you want shooting the ball are the ones taking the shots. You can't miss every shot you take. It's just,
I honestly think that
it's
a lot of it is it's a December from last year shooting slump.
Yeah,
and
it really is.
And they're not good enough to survive consistently. What are they now? They're 3-5 record wise. Yeah,
so they're playing at a 30-win pace, and they have not had an injury outside of Tatum yet.
Yeah, that is a worry. Yeah, Jalen obviously hasn't missed a game, and now he's off the injury report. Yeah, this is as healthy as they're going to be.
Right,
and
they're playing at a 30-win pace.
Yeah. They currently have the 8th best odds in the lottery, which is interesting. But yeah, okay. So another thing that jumped out to me, the Jazz had a lineup of Larry Markkinen, Filipowski, Svi, Nurkic, and Clayton Jr. And they couldn't score or get stops for like 3 minutes. And I was just like, where is the seal hunting? I get that they're trying to play fast, and they did get back to a bit more matchup hunting.
Late in the game with Jalen
And it's funny, like I get that the idea of that they want to play faster, and I do agree that that's something they should do where possible. One, they're just not converting any of their transition opportunities. They don't really have the horses. It's like Derek White has great touch and finesse, but like he's not a beast in transition, same as Pritchard. And this actually goes back to the shooting, because a lot of their transition opportunities are turning into 3-point attempts, and they're missing most of them.
And I think it's important to remember, like, it's really hard to play fast if you're always taking the ball out of the basket. Like if you look at, like, the Celtics played at a 96.5 pace tonight, which is basically, a little bit faster than last year, but marginally. Like that's not what I think most envisioned when they talked about a faster pace. But then if you look at the shot charts in the second half, the Jazz finished, I was just looking at this. They finished 23 of 36, right? So 63%. But they were 6 of 16 on threes. That means they were 17 of 20 from 2 in the second half. And they got one of those offensive rebounds. So really, it's like they really only missed, it's not like you got 3 stops because the last play was an offensive rebound off a missed 2. So really, it's like, how are you going to play fast if you're just never getting consistent? Like, where was the momentum stops? They got it towards in the final 2 minutes, right? When they were, forcing, but those were off steals. Those weren't off forcing misses and getting out and running. So it's like, you're seeing the effects of poor point of attack defense. Garza's 7 feet, but he's not really a deterrent at the rim, right? You saw multiple possessions of your slow-footed bigs get brought out in space, and then they don't have the foot speed to prevent someone from getting to the rim. It's like everything that we knew was going to be a problem when we saw the roster in the summer is literally the contributing factors to how they're losing games. They're going through these shooting droughts. They can't rebound, and their front court is, ultimately the worst rotation in the league.
Yeah, it's bad. And that does remind me, what did you think of Filipowski out there tonight? Because he's been playing a lot for them, and defensively he definitely has his limitations, but the dude can legit score at that.
I mean, he
size.
was a major factor for them in the fourth quarter. I think he had 5 big points. I think he was a plus 19 in his minutes. And I mean, I think we all know of the draft situation, and Brad took Baylor, who was a non-factor in his 7 minutes. We now see the positional need at big, and it's like, even if you don't think he's a world beater, he'd probably be the best big on this roster outside of Keita, right? I mean, that's not exactly a hot take.
No. I thought he's a very smooth offensive player, and a guy at that size with that type of skill. I know Spoonie was pretty high on that pick and low on the Shireman pick. He has 13 points today, 8 boards, and I don't know, maybe it's a sneaky good thing that he's not on this team because we can continue to solidify our top 10.
Well, yes and no,
position.
But none of those picks are, outside of Cam Boozer are big men, right? Aren't they all wings? So it's like you're still going to have a big man problem, most likely, even if you do end up, high in the lottery, unless you're fortunate enough to take Boozer. It's like you still have to address that position at some point.
It's true. And how much was Filipowski maybe changing this anyway? This is interesting from H-Wheel all in the chat. I never have said that right, and I never will say it right, so apologies. Eddie House said, if the shot is not dropping, why not try something else? It did give me kind of shades of the games 1 and 2 of the Knicks series, and can just bombing away. And it did kind of shift late, mostly thanks to Jalen. There's no one on this team that can get rim pressure except for Jalen.
Right. Like, that's what I think.
What are you supposed to do?
Right.
Now, Knicks series, that's on Jalen, Jason, Drew could get in the post. Like, there was ways they could generate other stuff. But this team, they're currently 29th in shots inside the restricted area coming into tonight. I'm assuming tonight didn't help that very much.
Right.
Outside of Jalen, there's no one that could put pressure on the rim.
Derek can't dribble by anybody right now, right? Like, you don't have the same type of rim pressure. Anthony Simons, for as good as he is as a catch and shoot guy, I feel like he's shooting like 40% at the rim. You know what I mean? It's just not
brutal.
When you think of why can't you do something else, you're seeing what roster limitation does to an offense. If you don't have self-creation, you don't have a post presence. They're relying on threes, mid-range, and non-restricted area paint shots with guys. Derek's shooting 15% in the paint this year. Peyton, he's got a nice little mid-range. He's maybe starting to come around as a 3-point shooter, but he's not exactly, even if he's getting into the paint, he's still a vertically challenged offensive player in traffic. Your only individual shot creator is Jalen. So this team has to shoot the ball somehow. So it's better for them to drive and kick and force rotation and take open threes, because nobody can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim.
Our most reliable shot inside the paint has really been a Pritchard turnaround.
Right. Which is like not a way that's not building a sustainable offense.
Like he's playing great. Again, tonight he had 18 points on 15 shots, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, only 1 turnover. I'm really like, there was a question just here. Is PP part of the next iteration of the Celtics championship team? I think definitely.
The way he's filled his role to the expectation of the point guard in this system. Where I think he's just struggling is just same with Derek with his outside shot, but he at least made a few today. And if the rest of his offense is trending in a positive direction in terms of his playmaking, his efficiency, his free throw rate is the highest of his career. So it's like, if the guy just starts making threes, he's going to be fine. And I think he's starting to play his way out of that. It's just, that's your number 3 scorer on this roster, which is not what you would have in a championship team.
The only way in that he isn't part of the championship core, because Ben, shout out in the chat, kind of has to be because of the contract. But maybe if you cannot solve the big man problem, is it a Pritchard plus Hauser trade for a big man? And if that, because you can't win a title without a big man.
Problem. Yeah. Go look at the centers in the league that make 17 or under. It's not a great list. So it's like,
Is it a Derek White trade? Is that where we kind of end up? Is it the guy we draft? Is it Cater taking another step forward?
So I think that's the problem is like, even if you want to say, okay, package them for a big, I don't think there's a big that solves that, issue for you that makes you better coming at the cost of the shooting you would be losing in Hauser and Pritchard once Tatum is back. You know
Probably
what I mean?
not.
Because that's what you have to remember. You're getting a 6'10" power forward back. And we've seen you give Tatum any big man and he can make them $40 million. You know what I mean? We just saw it with Luke Cornett. So I'm almost of the thought of, if you can't find that big with using Simon's contract, then you're going to have to just draft it and develop it. Because there's no 17
How do we
or
get
under.
Ivica Zubac? That's the question.
Okay.
That's the question. He makes 19.5.
Okay, but that's more than
Dynasty's back on. But how we get? I know we used to throw in Baylor.
Baylor, but that's
you're not trading him.
The only one, right? And they're not trading him. So it's like, I was on
Jared Allen's
a few weeks. Yeah, but like we just saw him. He couldn't even outplay Neemias Queta. So it's like, and are they bringing in? I mean, they have Sam Merrill and Lonzo Ball. Like, what do they need Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser for? So it just gets really bleak when you look at free agency and then, the players that make the salaries that you can now aggregate. It's like the market is horrific. It's like
there's a Pirtle, Daniel Gafford, trade for Luke Cornett.
I mean, maybe, the Mavs need a point guard, right? So, okay, Gafford makes probably what, 13, 14?
I think
something like that
right now, but he signed an extension of 18 annual, I think. Okay. So, yeah. I don't know, man. If I'm another team watching the Celtics tape and I'm watching Anthony Simons, I'm like, he solves none of our problems.
Right.
If people are like, I need a ball handling guard that can like create stuff. That's not Anthony Simons. All he is a catch and shoot guy that got his shit stuffed at the rim by Filipowski today, who is not a good defender.
And this is right after the back-to-back blocks against Bona
tough
against the Sixers. Like, he just has not been what I thought when it comes to rim finishing. Right? I just remember, maybe I just was misseeing things as they were happening, but I feel like he was a better finisher in Portland than we've seen so far.
For sure. I don't know if he's just not trusting his burst or whatever. And there's like the Philly game was the first time I was like, okay, I'm seeing a bit of getting downhill, using that athleticism with the right hand. But other than that, like it is the volume is super low. The ability to actually finish over guys is not good. Doesn't draw a ton of fouls. He's really just like a
catch and shoot merchant,
like a taller Peyton Pritchard who's worse at defense.
Yeah,
I don't know how. Yeah, so I don't know. That trade's just not going to happen unless someone like really gets desperate or hangs their hat on some previous Anthony Simons tape.
Yeah, or I would say if there's somebody there that makes less than him that's expiring, that a team would say, well, let's just get the additional $7 million in cap space when we let him walk next summer. You know what I mean? Like something like that, where if there's a $22 million center, and they have the cap space to take on his 27, and they're both expirings, and you don't give a shit. Maybe you're having a lost season, that I could see being something that a team would say, well, let's just open up even more space. Like we're not going to keep either of these guys. We may as well take the one that has a $27 million salary.
Yeah. Every Celtics fan needs to pray every night between now and free agency. And we've talked about this in the Celtics Discord. Isaiah Hartenstein has a team option after this season. And if the Thunder think that they're going to start to come up against apron concerns, that's the guy that you can see them letting go. Because
but he's going to turn that
the max.
Yeah, I think he turns that down and then signs out a better number to stay in OKC. Is how I envision that.
We'll see. So So yeah, I mean, he's obviously the number he's on this year is 29 million. I think that they overpaid to get him from the Knicks, so he would leave New York in order to come there because no one wants to go to OKC. And the only thing we're gonna have is the mid-level exception. So we just need to get lucky that the market breaks, right? And Isaiah Hartenstein has wanted to play with Jason Tatum his whole life, and that the Thunder can't, absorb another $14-15 million annual salary because that's going to start to push them into the second apron. And they drafted Sorba as well.
Remember, they'll have the taxpayer mid-level, but they'll also have Porzingis's $22 million exemption. So that will allow them to add a bigger salary player and then go over you have a vehicle should that $14-15 million player arise.
Yeah.
You have a vehicle. Whereas, normally you would need to be under the tax to get the non-taxpayer,
Won't they be under the tax
million.
once Simons comes off? They will be because they're only 12 over right now.
Yeah, but you have to think I'm assuming, well, I guess maybe it's an order of operations thing, right? Because they're definitely going to be back over the tax once he's off. Because they're about 12 million away from it now.
Yes.
So if his 29 comes off, and then you factor in a couple million for a mid first round pick, right? And then
they got 21 million of space between the tax after Simons comes off. Okay. I'm pretty sure they'll be under the tax next season. That's why everybody thought they're going to try and get under this year, because then that resets it for this year, and it's not that hard to stay under it for next year. So then they get out of the repeater.
If you want to build a title contending team when Tatum is back, you're going to be going back over the tax. Is my point.
Yes, correct. But if you've got that 21 million, I know, hang on. I'm just going to stop now because I know I'm getting these details wrong. Doing cap stuff on the fly at the best of times is impossible. So I'm going to stop right now. We know the future big man problem is a real thing, and it's why there is validity to Jalen or a Derek White trade at some point, because in order to fix that, unless you draft the guy or just completely fucking nail some random signing or late draft pick, the Kalkbrenner thing is looking kind of bad right now as well.
I think that's just what's most glaring is, he's off to a pretty good start in Charlotte. You just had Filipowski give you the business tonight. It's like those were back-to-back drafts where you had a positional need, and who knows, maybe Amari Williams will be serviceable, but I don't know, he's probably not doing what Filipowski and Kalkbrenner are doing down in Charlotte at the moment. So it's even if you love the Hugo pick, it's hard to ignore when you're losing games because of your front court, and you've had opportunities to address your front court with players who are now proving they can play at the NBA level. I think I don't know if second guess is the right word.
They could have done both.
Right.
Because they had that 31st overall pick and they traded out of it, and everybody was like, either take Fleming, who ended up the Suns trading up ahead of you to get, and that seemed to be why the Celtics traded back, or take Kalkbrenner. Everybody was just like, it's the very just layup. People think that he's just going to be a good, either below average starter, maybe starter, good backup big man. When you have these obvious needs, I know you drafted Amari Williams. We're not going to get, I know Celtics sickos are excited about Amari Williams, but realistically, that's not going to be a guy. The mystery of the future big man is going to be a problem, and Tatum can cover up a bunch of it, but also asking him to, do that at the same level as the league gets more and more talented and deeper is a big ask. I'm sure Brad Stevens will think of something and do something. And
just look at the recent teams, right? When they lost Al the first time, and it was basically Tice and who else? Tristan Thompson. When you didn't have a good front court, you could never get over the hump. The year that you finally had a legitimate NBA, rock solid front court that was versatile, that could stretch the floor, could rebound, could post up, what happened? The NBA is pretty simple. It's there are certain components that you just need in order to win at that type of level. And they certainly do not have that at the moment. And the path to getting it is, I don't want to say non-existent, but like if you just look at the numbers and the math of it, like who are those players? Those players have to exist in order for you to build them, a roster with it. And just who are they? Who are you getting on the free agent market for $5 million that is going to be a playoff title contending, free agent big man? Who is it?
I got two names for you: Al Horford and Robert Williams III.
Okay, I'm in. We joke.
That might actually be the answer.
That's literally their only path. If we really wanted to be serious about it, is like, do you try to get Jaren Jackson out of Memphis if they're about to blow it up? But he can't even rebound. So it's like so you're still going to have the same problems on the defensive glass. Only now you owe him like $55 million.
Yeah. But if you've got Minot and Tatum and Jackson so you go Jaren Jackson Jr., Minot, Tatum, Jalen, Pritchard as your 5, you will be able to rebound, I think, in that lineup with Minot and Tatum out there.
Okay. In theory.
In theory. Anyway, that's probably going to be a conversation that we have probably every 2 to 3 days. For
every time they lose the game because they can't get a defensive rebound, we'll probably talk about it.
Yes. So I don't know who else in this game. Like Cater, even though I know didn't get that last rebound, he's definitely he's taken a real step forward. And I thought today there was some really nice moments. But that's gonna be as a backup big man, and
right. I think he's showing he can be the third guy, backup center in a pinch on a team that's ready. If on our title team he was the 4th center, right? Yeah. Now I feel more comfortable that he's in the 3rd center, 2nd center type. He's working his way up, and I think that's all we really needed to see from him coming in off Eurobasket with this new opportunity. Like, I don't feel like he's fumbling his expanded opportunity, which is a good thing, which is what this season is also about. I would say same thing with Minot. He's obviously not fumbling his opportunity. Ugo has not been fumbling his opportunity. So it's just one of those things where he's good for a 2nd or 3rd big, but you're asking him to be a starter and you're seeing why he's not a starter.
Yeah. What's concerning, I guess, for this game, Jalen was a team high plus 21, which I love to see. We talked on the last pod how I'm kind of sick of the advanced analytics not respecting Jaylen Brown, because if he is not out there, I don't care what the on-off say. We're so fucked without Jaylen Brown on this team like tonight.
Especially when Derek is struggling like he is. There's just no way for them to score, especially when all Simons is doing is just catching. Like, if you don't have the Simons offensive production, and you have Derek White in this slump, like I would imagine their offensive rating in those lineups tonight was probably like 65.
That felt about right. So it's great to see. Like, Jalen continues to, I think, look pretty good. Only had the 3 turnovers tonight. Like,
and one of them, and I think one of them was the trip. So it's like,
oh my god.
So it's really only 2 turnovers if you're gonna be real.
I know you probably saw. I know Mike in the chat here was like the ref basically just said, "I didn't see it."
Unbelievable.
Like, I don't know what you. I don't understand what you're supposed, like, how that happens. Yeah, so that's absurd. I was gonna say Keontae George was tearing us apart throughout the game, but specifically in the 3rd quarter, and he's actually been really good this season. Coming tonight, 22 points, 9 assists, and without being able to make threes tonight. What did he shoot from 3? He had a few go in and out, so maybe he was 2 for 5 from 3. He had 31 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on only 1 turnover. And going back to the draft thing, he was only drafted 16th overall. And so I know we talk about wanting to get as high up as we can in the draft, but like, even if we end up probably with the
13, 14, 15 pick,
teens pick, that's still a really good spot to get a good player. And you're going to have to hit the pick and get a guy. You don't need a Keontae George. Like, I would not draft a small guard, obviously, because it'll take a couple of years. But there, yeah, everyone's talking
his
about how this
night
draft is awesome.
Yeah, and I think his night really exposed your flaws, right? This team cannot defend without fouling. They just can't do it, right? They're guards, they're letting opposing players into the paint. They can't defend without fouling. That was evident in the Houston game. It was evident for him in that third quarter and down the stretch in the fourth. And then also, time and time again, it was getting Tillman, Kada in space, forcing them to guard on the perimeter, and they just don't have the foot speed. So there's no scheme that you can do to absolve that. Like, that is the reality of your roster, and that is how teams are going to attack you. And then if you're only going with one big on the floor, you're going to get hurt on the glass. If you go with two bigs, now you have two non-floor spacing big men who are just going to be, you're going to be the seal that gets hunted. So it's just, you're seeing their roster flaws unfold in how they're losing these games.
I know that Chris Boucher is not technically a big man. They've been trialing these smaller lineups, whether it's Minot / Jalen at the 4-5 and Boucher at the 5, but Joe's been hesitant to play him as a single big. I don't really get the difference between like I get that Luka Garza is a big, but your defense is horrific with him out there. The rebounding, maybe I'm not noticing a big difference between Garza being out there and Boucher being out there. The numbers sample size is going to be tiny. But at least with Boucher out there, you're getting more athletic pop. I would like to see him a bit more if you are going to try and win some of these games. Garza in his minutes in 10 minutes tonight was a -12 team worst. It's just, man, genius by Brad.
It's crazy that he's 7 feet and there's no rim deterrence. It's insane to me.
It's like he shrinks anytime anyone gets near him. It's incredible. Yeah,
but then he's on the offensive end and he's pulling down these offensive rebounds like he's Goliath. It's just so baffling to me to watch, because it's like on one end of the floor he's a giant, on the other end of the floor where you need him to play big, he plays small. It's just it's a very confusing player.
Yeah. Well done by Brad getting Luka Garza on this team, because that's certainly helping us move up the tanking standings. I don't have anything else, I think, for this specific game. We've got the Wizards coming up next. And I think if we've learned anything so far, they could just lose any game.
Yeah. They are. I think
maybe not the Nets.
Even still, listen.
Pelicans,
the Celtics are in no position to thumb their nose up at any, because again, their flaws are foundational issues that directly impact winning. The Wizards, it doesn't require, it's not like, oh man, they need to score 130 points to beat you. No, they just have to rebound, right?
Yeah.
So it's like any team that you play against can rebound on any given night. So that is always going to be the underlying current of your season. Is like a game like tonight, you'd say, man, the Jazz coming off a back-to-back, they are just, they have the 21st ranked offense. Like, they're barely going to score over 100 points, and you lose to them because they have 3 7-footers, and it doesn't matter if you played the night before, if you just have to rebound. So and not only that, but the Wizards are pesky. They're playing. They were playing someone tough today. I don't know if they ended up pulling out
1-6. So it hasn't been converting into wins yet. But yeah, like, I know Alex Sarr's been playing well. They're definitely frisky enough. And I don't know. Should we check their defensive rebounding situation or offensive rebounding situation? Because that's kind of the answer to every game, it feels like right now. Offensive rebounding, they are low on this list. They're 27th. Maybe this is the one you can win.
Yeah, I mean, that was the case with the Pelicans without Zion, and then the Cavs were 17th in offensive rebounding, and you were able to hold your own. So, yeah, I would say, but you know what? We'll probably get like a Chris Middleton Magna Ball game or some shit like that. Or
that would be. It's been too long since we've had a Chris Middleton Magna Ball game. This is the problem. If this shooting slump continues, then you're obviously a candidate to lose to anybody. Because are going to struggle to rebound, and you can't shoot. It's a bad time to have a shooting slump because the season will be over before you know it.
Well, that's what I think is, I tweeted this out, for a lot of people thought they would win in the mid 40s or whatever. Just to put context around, they need to go 42-32 to win 45 games, right? That's a 0.56 winning percentage. You're playing 37, your 30 win pace fully healthy. You're not suddenly just going to be a 10 game over 500 team. So you start taking a step back and you look at you're living in a scenario where even if you rip off 2-3 in a row, you're going to be battling that 500, 2 or 3 game under 500 zone all year playing at this pace. That's
aren't they on? They're on pace for. They're on pace for 32 wins, aren't they?
Yeah. Yep.
That's
and think of the Sixers are a great example, right? They started 1 of 6, 2 and 6, whatever. It kills your whole season. Because even if you start to get a little bit of momentum and you win 3 in a row, just like we saw the Celtics do. Well, now if you're dropping 2 more in a row and now you're back under, it's you're always just fighting up current and upstream. And that's how you end up in the play-in. That's how you win between 35 and 37 games.
Well, let's spin the wheel one time before we get out of here.
Okay. I did it the other day and we got the first pick. So
all right. Well, we are currently at 8th and we stayed at 8th. That'll be great. That'll be fine.
Yeah, it'd be the highest pick in the Brad Stevens era.
Everyone's saying this top 10 is awesome. I mean, right now we currently have a 27% chance of jumping into the top 4. So that's
But you know what? I think it's also, it's not just about drafting it. You could also flip it, right? It's about the asset. You don't have to pick. You can flip for a ready now player.
Shout out Muzz. Appreciate the donation. Celtics need to be first to the floor or first to the rebound. They really do.
We would never do a show if it was first to the rebound.
Yeah, what are we gonna do if they actually get a rebound? Appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate you, Greeny. I'll be back. The boys will probably doing a show later on Thursday, and then we'll be streaming for the NBA Cup. At least we're undefeated in the NBA Cup right now.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important trophy the NBA has. So,
I can't wait. Against the Magic, who can't shoot.
Oh, well. Christ. So. Well, they have size. That's going to be a disaster.
Be fun. All right. Everybody, it's been a pleasure. Till next time. Go Celtics.
Cool.